Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Nerd Pod Generations on YouTube. My name is Steve Taylor. I'm one of the co-hosts of Nerd Pod Generations, the number one podcast for everything pop culture in my life, at least. It is a weekly show that you can find on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's hosted by myself and my good friend Al Jutsum. We decided, though, that we were going to start doing these one-off YouTube shows to kind of help build the brand a little bit and let you get to know us a little bit more outside of the show, kind of more of our individual loves when it comes to pop culture and everything nerd. Now, I'm going to have a little bit more of a focus on older movies, horror movies, some of the things that Al has discussed that he might not have as much knowledge on. I am the old fart of the group, so I've been around, I've seen a lot of things. In fact, my first horror movie, I was 3 years old. It was 1979. It was at a drive-through near where I was raised. It was back in the day when they used to do the kids movie first and then an adult movie. Kids are supposed to fall asleep. Adults get to watch the adult movie. The kids movie, supposedly for kids, was Black Hole, which is an old live-action Disney movie with Anthony Perkins from Psycho. And it is a kids movie, but it's the old school Disney kids movies, which are actually terrifying. And I actually had more nightmares about that than I did. This adult movie, when we were supposed to be asleep, was actually Jaws. And I remember distinctly watching the very beginning where the shark pulls the woman down and just maws her to death. It's kind of funny that sticks with me at 3 years old. I don't remember much from back then, but I do remember that. And I like to think that that's where my love of movies started. That rush, that feeling of adrenaline you get when you see something that's either scary or thrilling or even funny. Something that's really funny could get you psyched. And so from there, I luckily very early on was introduced to horror movies through my father was a fan of horror movies, and my older brother, him and my sister-in-law, when they were dating, they would rent like Friday the 13th movies, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, all of those, and they would watch them at my mom's house, and I would sneak down and watch them with them. So the good thing is it desensitized me to horror movies, so nothing really scared me from as far as I can remember. I didn't have nightmares when it came to those type of movies. And horror movies became one of my favorite genres. One of my favorite films of all time is the OG original Halloween with John Carpenter. I believe it was 1976. Love that movie. Absolutely love it. And movies like that are what I crave to find. And when I say movies like that, I mean more independent movies. Some of the mainstream horror movies are okay, like Insidious and The Conjuring and all of those. They're good, but you could tell that they're just in a money-making factory when it comes to making those horror movies. They don't really take the time to really build the tension. They just want to do quick jump scares, throw in some gore, throw in some people in trouble, and then send it off to the theater. Where I appreciate movies that spend a little bit more time building the characters, building the tension properly. Hereditary is a good example of that. I wasn't a big fan of The Babadook, but a lot of people loved that. But Halloween, the original Halloween movie, it only like 5 or 6 people died. You didn't see any blood. It was just tension. It was getting you so amped up, expecting to see something like that. And it was awesome. And to this day, it's still one of my favorites. Classics like that and being an independent film has given me the opportunity to see a lot of great independent horror films. And I actually crave not only the good ones, but the bad ones. To me, a good, bad horror movie is as entertaining as anything, especially if they're not taking themselves too seriously. Good example, there's a movie called Dead Snow, which has to do with Nazi zombies. And I absolutely love that movie. And you can tell it's very tongue-in-cheek, and they're not taking themselves overly serious, but it was extremely entertaining and well done. The gore effects were fantastic. And so that just gives you an idea of the type of movies that I'm going to be focusing on. And now here's how my reviews are going to go when I do a review on a movie. I don't do well working off of like a script, okay? Especially talking by myself. I like working off of people. Al and I, when we do our show, I love just kicking ideas off of him as the show's going. But when I'm doing a recording like this by myself, I am not good at reading off a script. I'm not good at following like notes. I'm just going to give you my straightforward ideas of the movie, what I thought of it, and give you the review and what you should do. This week's is actually more of a psychological thriller. It is Fallen, which is Denzel Washington movie back in the 90s. Him, John Goodman, a very early movie with James Gandolfini. I don't believe The Sopranos had started yet. If it had, it was in the early stages. Donald Sutherland. It was a great movie. It isn't a gory horror movie. It follows, and once again, spoilers, like in our podcast, spoilers and everything. This film follows a police detective. In the beginning of the movie, he is going to see the execution of a serial killer he caught. Serial killer's acting really weird, singing "Time Is on My Side" by the Rolling Stones, tries to touch Denzel Washington's character, which is his character's name is Hobbs, I believe. And after he does get executed, the camera, they do this great trick where it kind of backs off and it shows the spirit of this demon fallen angel named Azazel that can travel from body to body and possess people. And so it leaves this serial killer, goes into the police guard. That guard takes it out. It goes into other people, and you start to see these copycat killings, which makes Denzel Washington like, wait a second, I know this guy's been executed. Some of these killings follow parts of the original crimes that were never put out in media, so the killer should not know. And slowly it starts to unravel, and he starts to figure out that this fallen angel is actually the one behind it. He ends up discussing it with a woman who has been 100% focused on it because her father went into a cabin in the middle of the woods, lost his mind, was writing stuff on the walls, ended up killing himself. And so she believed it was this fallen angel, and she starts to look into it. And then Denzel Washington and her kind of team up to fight this thing. It has a great ending. I know I said spoilers. I really don't want to ruin the ending, though. It has a surprise ending that I absolutely loved. It's a solid performance by Denzel Washington, kind of off of what he typically does. He typically does more serious dramas. This is definitely a supernatural thriller, which was not normal. And it was great. It was a great movie. You know, it didn't get a lot of fanfare at the time, and even now I'll bring it up to people. Not all people know. I highly recommend it. You know, it's not a very long movie. It's not a very difficult movie to understand. It's pretty much by the book, but they do it really well. And Denzel Washington, you can't go wrong with Denzel Washington. He's fantastic. Like I said, the name of the movie is Fallen. I give it an A. You know, I highly recommend watching it. It's something that you will not regret. All right. Hopefully this YouTube video is something you will not regret. Like I said, we're trying to do these little snippets. This one was a little more piecemeal just because it is my first one. I'm not good at talking on camera. I'm hoping I will improve with each video. I know Al has already put a video up. He's done a review of Blues Brothers. And so definitely go check that out. And then check us out, Nerd Pod Generations. Once again, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Type it into Google. You'll find all the other podcast sites you'll be able to find us on. We're going on to episode 42 this week, which we're going to be talking about Peacemaker. We're going to be talking about all the Super Bowl commercials and trailers, including Doctor Strange and the Mouth of Madness. We're going to also, if we have time, and I think we will, we're going to be doing a deep dive into Big Trouble in Little China, the classic action comedy from the 80s with Kurt Russell. So please tune in. Keep an eye out for these videos. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell to let you know, little notification that we have a new video up. Once again, I appreciate you listening. I hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.